Platform Nigeria is powered by the Covenant Nation.
Still with us at the Platform Nigeria, and our next speaker is Yewande Zaccheaus. Yewande Zaccheaus is the founder and chairman of Eventful Limited, a leading events planning and consulting company in Nigeria. She studied law at the University of Lagos and thereafter obtained a master's in law from Cambridge University, England. After a successful career in law and banking, Yewande established her own business, Eventful Limited, in 2002. She retired in March 2021 after 19 years leading the company and handed over to a successor who is poised to take the company to a higher level. Yewande is passionate about redefining the events and entertainment landscape of Nigeria. She is the convener of the Food Souk, the Beauty Souk, and the Fashion Souk. These fairs have become annual landmark events in the Lagos social calendar. Yewande is a founding trustee and past chairperson of Women in Management and Business and Public Service WIMBIs. She is the author of 4 inspirational books and recently executively produced the movie The Wait, inspired by her books. Yewande has received several prestigious awards for being the pioneer and game changer in the event planning industry in Nigeria. She serves on several boards of several businesses and non-profit organizations as non-executive director and chairperson. Please welcome to the platform, Yewande Zaccheaus. With a warm, rousing applause.
With so much I know along the way, then I heard you say, I promise you I'm always there when your heart is filled with sorrow and despair. I'll carry you when you need a friend. You'll find my footprints sing the same. I see my life flash across the sky. So many times have I been so afraid. And just when I thought I lost my way, you gave me strength to carry on. That's when I heard you say, I promise you.
You know, as an event planner, I said, let me come and disrupt and show a video before I speak. But I was meant to speak to the video, but innovation disrupted itself and the video came. But it's okay. Pastor Kwadwo, Pastor Toyi, thank you so much for inviting me. And I am here as a victim of good manners. As you saw, Pastor Kwadwo was one of the church leaders that did show the weight in his church, because we went around on a church round. And when it came on Netflix in January and went straight to #1, I thought, oh, let me call all the pastors who believed in us even before we went to Netflix to say thank you. So I said, Pastor Kwadwo, can you see what has happened? Thank you so much. Oh, Sister Yewande, that's fantastic. But guess what? You're speaking at the platform on the 1st of May. And here I am. But I'm totally excited to be here. And I'm going to take a different slant on the topic for today. I believe you've heard from several speakers, and you're going to hear from several more, and everybody will bring their own slant on innovation and entrepreneurship. However, the brief I was given by Pastor Poji was basically to tell my story, which is why I showed that short video, which was a video we produced when Eventful was 20 last year, October. And it basically just, I think, in 2 minutes, encapsulates exactly the essence of the company and the essence of entrepreneurship, which is growing a business, building it up, building the people, and then sustaining it so that you can hand it to the next generation. I'm going to take it in a I like people to remember what I say, and I actually remember things, maybe it's the lawyer in me, I remember things when they're told me in point form. So I'm going to give you 10 points, 10 requirements, I believe, of having a sustainable business. They're not exhaustive. There may be some that may be more important to you. There may be some that may be less important to you. But I believe at the end of my 20 minutes, I will have gone through the 20-year adventure that I have been on. And I hope you'll be able to take something out of it to run within your own business. Thank you so much again for this opportunity. Yes, now my age is going to show. She said there's going to be an arrow pointing up. Yay, did it. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is vision. You want to be an entrepreneur, you must have vision. And you must have clarity of that vision. You need to be a dreamer if you're going to be an entrepreneur, because you need to be able to imagine the future. Now, for me, because as you know, I was a lawyer and a banker for 18 years before I transited into the entrepreneurial realm. So I came from a very structured background. But I was clear in my mind that whatever business I'm going to run was going to be a business that was going to be world-class. It was going to be a business that would be sustainable. And so I was very deliberate and intentional in the way I went about it to ensure that I got this outcome. So my story, I'd been in law and banking for 18 years, and I was getting bored. I was in the bank. I'd been there, I think, about 13 years. And I knew it was time to do something different. But so what would something different be? And I knew that when I spoke to my friends who were doing their own separate businesses, everybody was doing what was a calling for them, what they were passionate about, what they loved to do. What did I know how to do? What was I good at? One thing I knew I had always been good at is bringing people together, organizing people. But really, 20 years ago, was that a viable business? Well, as you can see now, when you step out with the courage of your convictions, when you do something nobody has dared to do before, eventually you will see that, yes, this can be a viable business. So I set out to be a solution provider. It may seem so mundane, but there were so many things people were doing by themselves that they didn't really want to do anymore. And of course, because of my corporate background, I started off as a corporate events planner, doing events for the corporates. But what, of course, happened is along the way, then the corporate people would say, can I do this for you? And then we moved into the retail. So clarity of vision. What animal do you want to be? And then what is important also is that not everybody has to have that dream of being a world-class institution. Your dream may be to be a mom-and-pop business. Your dream may even for it to be just a small business that you're not even really depending on to sustain you. Let it just be your dream. So vision, clarity of vision, I think that's the very first most important thing. Passion. I know an earlier speaker had spoken about it, and I smiled because I was listening to her as I was coming in. And what she did say is true. Now, passion is important if you're going to be an entrepreneur because you have to love what you're going to do. It has to be something that if they wake you up at night and they say, come and do this and we're not even going to pay you, it's something you'll be happy to do. But at the same time, don't be passionately passionate about nothing. It does not make sense if you have something you are passionate about that is not providing value to anybody, that is not going to be a solution provider. Of course, it's not going to be a business. So I believe that, yes, whilst you must pursue your passion, you must make sure that whatever it is that you're offering is something that adds value. You must be authentic. A lot of us have this, what we call the Me Too syndrome. You go into a business because it seems to be the fashionable thing at the time. When events started, everybody was moving into events, fashionable. Or is it fashion? Is it now tech? But what do you want to do? Who are you? You have to be true to yourself. You have to be authentic. Because what passion does is that at the times, and as everybody has said, there'll be good times, there'll be bad times in business. At those bad times, that passion will sustain you. Because you love what you're doing so much, you're going to dig your heels in and you're going to make sure you get to the next level. And you need to be very, very, avoid dream killers. Because sometimes what you are passionate about and what you think is going to be a business may seem like something quite ridiculous in the eyes of people. I remember one of my friends called me to the side when I said I was leaving the bank at a deputy general manager level to start this business, and said to me, Yewande, she said it to Yoruba, you want to law Cambridge to DGM, balloon. In short, the person said, with your Cambridge degree and your DGM level, you want to be arranging chairs and putting balloons up. But I was clear that that was not what my business was going to be about. But you see, if you are not confident and if you don't have the courage of your convictions, it's very, very easy for you to just allow your dreams to die. And then, you don't make anything of it. Also, with passion, that drive for excellence. Be driven by excellence. Just know that, compete only with yourself all the time. Just compete with yourself. Value system. I think that is so important. What are your values? Our values are what we are, what the principles we live our lives by. What are the principles by which you live your lives? Because it's going to translate into your business. What are the things that are important to you? What are the things that drives you? For me, it's integrity, the fear of God, being dependable, being reliable. What are your work values? Are you a professional? Are you somebody that if you say you will do this, they know you will do it? These are the things that are important. And your value system, as I've said, translates into your work system. What do you want to be remembered for? For us, very, very important. We never give bribes and we never give kickbacks to get any business. We just believe that the business at ours will come. And what we do, we're Africans. We are extremely generous when it is a festive season. We celebrate our clients at times when they have celebrations. We do things, but we will not give bribes. What do you want to be remembered for when you're building an institution? So always build your business with the end in mind. And we were very clear about that. Another thing that's very, very important in building a business. So this is Entrepreneurship 101 in 20 minutes, but I believe everybody will catch something. I'm going to talk about structure because entrepreneurs don't like that. We never really want to do that work. Nobody is interested in what it takes to put structure in an organization. But it's the very fabric that holds everything together. And really, what is structure in a business? What is structure? It's just having a system where everything works together. Your team works. Everybody knows what they're doing. It gives clarity to the business. Do you have an organogram? And don't tell me, there are only 5 of us. Those 5 of you in that business. Does everybody know what they're supposed to do? Do you have job responsibilities? And I'll tell you, as I go along, you will understand why all these are the things that matter and will help you to make your business sustainable. Do you have job responsibilities? Do you do appraisals? Do people even understand that this is how I'm doing? I should do better. I should do less. And you see, apart from giving you clarity, it also builds trust because people know that there is a system and it's a system that works. They know that if they do this and do this, they will get here. And when that trust is built, competence always comes in as well. And do you have a board of directors? Many people will say, why should I have a board? Even for me, that I was a company secretary and legal advisor, I know how difficult it was to set up a lot of these things. But there were things I knew I had to set up to make the system work. It wasn't until I transited before my board, essentially, before I left the business, was myself and my husband. But at the time I was leaving, I knew that I needed to bring in outsiders to strengthen the company. And I brought in somebody who's an expert in corporate governance and somebody who's an expert in entertainment and entertainment law. And then also made the 3 most senior staff directors. So by the time there's that sense of ownership and authority, then your business can run. It is so, so important. If you don't have structure at this time, if you take nothing away from what I'm saying, please build structure into your organization. Human resources, and there's a reason that they're called that, because you need to know that your human resources are resources for you. They are the ones that together, and I love what Ndidi has said. As you know, I said for 18 years, I was working for a bank and in a law firm before I transited to my business. And you learn a lot, and you bring all that you learn into this new system. So you need to consider your human resource as an asset. How do you treat your staff? If you just treat them as, a means to an end, you don't care about them, you don't care about their work-life balance, you don't care about their wellness, how do you expect them to help your business to run? So these are soft skills, they're all the highfalutin high skills, but these are the soft skills that are really, really important. Do you value them? Do you appreciate them? What kind of reward system do you have? It's important for staff to be rewarded. Then they know, and then it's their transparency. We always have an annual retreat where every single person, from the receptionist to the most senior person, sees all the numbers. And I know that one or two facilitators came and said, Yewande, you show them everything? And I said, yes. So they know when the business is doing well, and they understand that we can share and benefit. And when things are not going well, you don't have anything to hide. And also, people need to, they need to feel a part of your business for them to stay, for that longevity. And it is your staff, you know, not just your clients, it is your staff that make your business run and make it last. Training. Do you train your staff? We've spoken about that. It's so important. Education. We invest a lot in staff. We invest in training. Our staff, they go to Dubai, they go to England, they go to America. Why? Okay, yes, because I came from a corporate background, and that was how I was trained. But then you see, it is what you want your company to be that you will put into it. If you do not give them the highest quality training at the highest level, you're not going to have the highest quality staff, and you're not going to have the highest quality business. So these are the things I say when I say you need to be deliberate and intentional. What are you building? What do you want? So these are very, very important. Training is fundamental, and it's a win-win. Yes, and I know, at first thought that, I will retire from my business after 10 years, after 15 years. But that couldn't happen because there's always staff attrition. People will want to go and do other things. But it doesn't matter. You are investing in people. And when you're investing in them, it's a benefit not only for them, not only for your business, for the future as well. Extremely important. I'm going to number 6, opportunities. We've all spoken about that at some level. You cannot be an entrepreneur if you are not somebody who sees opportunities. And when the phrase you seize opportunity, it is because opportunity is something that just goes past you. If you are there twiddling your thumbs and dawdling around, the next fast person is going to catch it. So you seize opportunity. And of course, when you're seizing opportunity, it means that you have to embrace risks. Just to go back to my business, when I started, there were very few event centers in Lagos, and the ones that were good, which were the hotels, were really a bit of a problem because they really didn't have everything you wanted. You wouldn't the toilets wouldn't be good, the air conditioning wouldn't work, and I just felt, okay, my next big dream, I'm going to have an event center. But I remember one of my mentors, it was Dr. Sulaiman, when I was now beginning to look for funding to build an event center. I said, Yewande, you are moving from event planning into real estate. So what is it you want to do? So you don't really need to build an event center, but you can partner with people and make sure you have the kind of event centers that you need for your business at the quality you want to lead it. So the first opportunity came with Lagos State government when they were looking for somebody in the private sector to partner with them to run the City Hall banquet hall. And we're able to do that for 9 years under both Governor Fashola and Governor Ambode. So that was our first opportunity to, have a hall. And you may feel, oh, but that wasn't your dream, but it was still important because I was now able to have a venue which I could run at the level that I wanted to operate, and which not only myself but other planners could use. Then another opportunity came, and this was real innovation. When somebody who owned land in Victoria Island said, you know what, I'd like you to put up a center there. And I went there and I saw this humongous property, and I thought, I don't want to just put up a tent. Spoke to a few young people, and it's always important to speak to young people. And they were like, you know what, there's something called container architecture, which gives you what is actually like a building, though it's a temporary structure. And that was why Harbour Point was born. I'm sure many of you have been to Harbour Point, and you probably never realized that it's actually built from containers. And it was an interesting adventure because it hadn't been done before. We had to struggle with how to get the roofing done. But what now happened? We now have one of the, if you name the 3 top event venues in Lagos, Harbour Point will always come in there because of one reason or the other. So you need to seize opportunities. It may not be what you plan, but you can always make it something that will be even more. And that has given us an additional stream of income for over 13 years. So diversify, expand your business, seize opportunities, and make sure you have the additional streams of income. I'm going to move very quickly to number 7, which is adaptability. An entrepreneur just has to be adaptable, you have to be flexible. If you don't have that spirit of adaptability, I think it was Yvonne who had mentioned it, that things will change, failure will come, things will happen. You have to be able to adjust and adapt, because if you don't have that spirit, you're not going to last very long. You need to also grow with your clientele. Now, for me, as I said, because of my background, I started off with mostly a corporate clientele and then also grew into the personal clientele from a reputation and from referrals. But then it was one day when I went into an office for a presentation. It was, I think they wanted to have an end-of-year party. And I got into the room, and the 4 people who were there, lovely young people, just all went on their knees. And they were, we were in school with Teniola Ma at Grange. They were in school with my son. That was when I realized that, hello, this is a new, this is a new dispensation. And I realized that, you know what, we need to now have an expression that will cater to the millennials. Because really, those ones didn't want me to come and talk to them about their Christmas party. I mean, clearly, what did I know? So we now, it was actually during 2020, during COVID, that we now decided to have another arm, an expression to the millennials, which we call Eventful Plus. And that is how you adapt to your clientele. Because I now realize that the people making the decisions in the corporates were getting younger and younger, and my generation were now becoming the board and the chairman, and I needed to adapt and adjust quickly so that we would not lose that market. What about, going out of your comfort zone? As an event planner, basically people give us money to do their events. But I started getting a bit bored with that, and then because you're sort of constrained, you have to do it the way they like, and I thought, okay, why don't we begin to do our own events? And that was how the innovation of the Eventful Souks began. And we started with food and drink, because of course, food and drink is a part of any event, whether it's corporate and social, and hosted our first food fair, which I think you remember you saw on the video. And from there, we went to a beauty fair, and my sister Tara here, because what I know how to do, I know how to plan things. But when it comes to other industries, we now go to people in those industries and say, come and join us, we want to do this. So we started the souks, the food souk, fashion souk, beauty souk, and even the street souk, which was actually birthed by my daughter. She saw the fashion souk and said, Mommy, I can do this for my generation. So many of us are into these T-shirts and accessories, and her souk, which is now hers, in fact, she has sacked us as Eventful, is arguably the most successful of the souks. So just to let you know that adaptability, with adaptability comes new ideas. With new ideas come new visions. With new visions come new businesses and new streams of income. So I move on very quickly to resilience. You have to have resilience if you're going to be an entrepreneur. And nothing taught us that than when COVID hit. Because COVID struck at the very nerve of what event planning is about, gathering people together. But how did we survive? All of you remember that wonderful word called pivoting. Everybody had to learn to do something new. The first thing that happened when we were all stuck at home during the lockdown, where people were calling me, Mrs. Z, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I said, me too, I'm asking, what are we going to do? But I realized people were looking up to me for leadership. And so I now started, okay, let's have webinars, industry webinars, and begin to talk to each other. And I was shocked when the very first webinar we had over 500 people who wanted to share their thoughts because everybody was in a panic. So that was something that you have to be as an entrepreneur. You have to be resilient. So I had to, gather myself together and realize that, we have to take the lead and we have to work this thing out. And of course, virtual events began, hybrid events. We all had to develop a new set of skills. But if you're not resilient, if at the first sight of trouble, you're going to turn it all in and give up. Giving up is not an option if you're an entrepreneur. So you just have to be totally resilient. And I'll tell you also about resilience with the souks. That year, we couldn't obviously hold a fashion souk, but we didn't want to lose the momentum. And we decided, okay, let's have a virtual fashion souk, which was extremely innovative. How are you going to have a virtual fashion souk? So we had, we actually wanted to use Nigerian tech company, but they said they needed 6 months, and we didn't have 6 months. So we went to an Indian company who had apparently done it before and said they could do it in 3 months. Now, what now happened was, very sadly, on the day in question, only Android phones could work. All the people that had Apple gadgets could not get into the system, which was terrible. But what was great was those Android people who could get in. There were so many success stories. So when people were like, oh, the virtual souk didn't work, I said, no. It worked because, first of all, we've tried something new. Secondly, some people were able to still make something out of it. And about a month later, we had to do another virtual event, another virtual fair. And it went so well, a virtual art fair. So I say this to let you know that sometimes things may not go as you plan, but you will learn something. So never be afraid of failure as an entrepreneur. That's something that all of us will experience at some stage. And it's all part of being resilient and, just digging it in there and making sure that you don't give up. You don't give up. Moving very quickly. Yes, I'm still within my time. Number 9, financial management, financial prudence. What are you really in the business for? Is it a hobby? And that's okay. Because as I keep saying, just be true to yourself. Not everybody needs to build a world-class institution that's going to be raking billions in revenue. What do you want? But you see, no matter how small it is, what is so important is that there must be prudent financial management of your business. Are you just still spending as you earn? You're not paying yourself a salary. You don't have structure. You're just, you don't even know what's going on. You don't even really know if you're profitable at all. And it's so important because many of us, we say that, we can't get loans from the institutions because they say you don't have good books. I mean, this money belongs to other people. They can only give you money if they're sure that you're going to be able to return the money. And it reminds me of we had a company who actually wanted to give a grant to our fashion entrepreneurs. And I was so excited that they were all going to get this seed grant. And they said, you could gather 50 of them, we'll interview them, and we will give this money to 20 people. Do you know that when we said it, everybody was excited? Yes, they want to be a part of it. And we tried to gather 50 people who had audited accounts. Absolutely no way. None of these entrepreneurs had audited accounts. So we went back to the company and said, well, they're small businesses. They don't have their accounts audited. They said, okay, give us management accounts. Do you know even with that, we couldn't do it? So what business are you in where you don't even have your management accounts? And what now happened, of course, was they all lost this opportunity to be beneficiaries of this grant. And that was a grant. It wasn't a loan. So I think it's really, really important that we and I know some people will say, yeah, but your business is a big business, you're a banker. No, even in your small business, you may not be able to engage an accountant, but there's so many of these small companies that will do part-time for you, and they will come in and look after your books. It is so, so important. Transparency, good governance, you need to have it to build a sustainable business. And for us, that was what sustained us during the time of COVID when everybody shut down. We were able to still pay all our staff 50% of the salary, from myself to the most junior person, for all the time that we couldn't work. But if we hadn't built our business, if we hadn't made sure that we had kept those records, kept that account, made sure that we were liquid. So it is very, very important. It's not just about just having this idea and branding the fact that you're an entrepreneur. You really must build your business. And I go to my very last slide, which is succession planning. Now, I think for me, I was actually just being quite selfish when I was planning succession. And I think, like most entrepreneurs, I just feel there's just so much to do. And I just feel that, I don't have only one thing that I was created to do. I just feel that there's just so much to do. And I knew that I couldn't express myself fully if I remained in that business. But in any case, I had been, laying the foundation for ensuring that that business was going to outlive me, even as long as I'd started the business. I was very, very intentional about it. And when you're in a service industry, it's extremely difficult because people cannot separate you from your company. They want Yewande Zaccheaus. Yewande Zaccheaus has now become a brand. But for me, it was about Eventful Limited being an important brand. And that was a brand I wanted to push. So I would very deliberately make sure when we went out, at least about 5 years before my exit, that whoever the project manager was, I would go to them with the first meeting. I would ensure they take the lead. I will step back. You need to let your clients begin to trust your staff. And you need to let your staff know that there's a future in the company. Because, if they don't feel there's a future, why are they going to wait? They're only going, everybody, as you've said, man is selfish. Everybody wants, to work for their own good. If they don't see that there's going to be a future, they won't wait. So it was very, very important. We used to have our retreats for 3 years before I left. The biggest question at our retreats, what happens when YZ goes? Are all our clients going to go? Is this going to disappear? But when you have been very deliberate about building an institution, you have structure. People know that this is what you're known for. They know that that everything that you have laid down, that you have said you will be, is what they will continue to be after. Then it made it easier. I empowered my staff. 3 of them, I had to make them shareholders, very happily so. So not only are they shareholders, they're also directors in the company. So they have ownership, they have authority. So that makes them know that, they have skin in this game and we're going to grow this business together. So it's very, very important. Let your staff, let them be valued, you need to affirm them, and you need to be able to let go. A lot of people were like, how could you do that? How come you didn't hand it over to your children? Both my children are actually in the entertainment business. Why didn't you keep it for them? Because it was never about that. It was always about building something that was going to be bigger than me. It was always about impacting lives and impacting people. It was about doing something that, nobody has ever done before and doing it well. And I think the evidence from the video and what we have done so far, and the fact that you believe that 2 years after I've left, the company is doing even better than when I was there. I think that's the evidence of the success of the business. So I close with just one scripture, which is one that I always used in building this business. I'm praying about my business. Psalm 90 verse 17. And let the beauty of the Lord be upon you and establish the works of your hand. Yea, establish the works of your hand. Have fun on your journey. Thank you.